You've got a music lover on your Christmas list. Time to stop whatever you're doing. Put your phone down. Give me your full attention. No, it's okay. I'll wait. Okay, now look at this. Geddy Lee's big, beautiful book of bass is exactly that. The definitive guide to all things bass by the man, the myth, the legend, Rush frontman, Geddy Lee. It is a stunning tour through Lee's musical mind and his bass collection. Geddy Lee is parked right across the couch from me this morning. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, you know, we know about your musical abilities, but I learned this. You said of your insatiable mind for research, once you get into something, you write, quote, "Once I turn my gaze to a thing with any degree of interest, I become curious, I feel compelled to research it. Curiosity turns into fascination, which begets even deeper engagement, and then, uh-oh, it's a full-blown obsession." So you went full Geddy on this, yes. So much so that your original transcript was 845 pages?
Yeah, when we first submitted our original document to the editor, she said, "I just want to say a few things to you. First of all, I appreciate how much humor was in the book. She didn't expect that. She loved the way my passion for the instruments played out on the page, but she also said, I've never received a manuscript 845 pages, so we had a little thinning to do."
You had some thinning to do. But you've been a collector your whole life, not just of, I mean, at this point in your life, it's bass guitars, but prior to that, there was vinyl, there was baseball, there was wine.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the passion of collecting the instrument.
Well, you know, I've always been a collector since I was a kid. I collected stamps, so, you know, which is the uber bad of nerdism. For me, these things are windows into culture, windows into history. Mm-hmm. When I became a baseball nut, it was sort of a voyage into Americana and the history of America the last couple hundred years. And instruments, to me, were always a tool. It's something that I use to get the sound that I need. Mm-hmm. When I started collecting instruments as a sort of a hobbyist, I found that I knew very little about the instrument I'd made my whole career playing.
Really?
So it became really fascinating to go back to the beginnings and to the early days of the development of these instruments, which was quite a great story to learn.
Well, let's talk about when you hold a guitar, when you hold a bass guitar. Yeah. What are you looking for? What are you hoping to feel, to hear when you're picking something to play for yourself? What are you looking for?
Well, the first thing a player looks for is a neck that feels like butter in his hands. Mm-hmm. And that way, any idea you have, you can express yourself without too much chore. Secondly, it's the tone. You know, whatever job you have, whether you're in a pop band or in a heavy metal band, you're looking for an instrument that can give the tone you need to do your job. So those things combine, and that's the instrument you're after. When you're collecting vintage instruments, you're basically learning about the thing that you've been holding in your hand, how that developed from, you know, the early 50s when the electric bass was invented right up until today. So it's kind of a fascinating story.
So what's the most fascinating thing that you learned about your instrument in collecting and in telling this story?
Well, one of them was that in the 50s, the world over, there were really creative and ingenious guys trying to invent the same kind of instrument. So sometimes you'll see this wacky instrument from Italy, and once you do the research on it, you find out it was invented in 1958. So, you know, we have a you know, a mindset that, well, they were only making Fenders and Gibsons and things like that in '58. But no, all around the world, music lovers were trying to do the same thing.
Was there some sort of global arms race trying to get from the stand-up, the giant stand-up bass to an electric, to a smaller, more compact instrument? Was that what it was?
Well, in a sense, there was, you know, because it was a need.
Yeah.
Because those guys were, you know, double bass players of the day. They were like the citizen that had to put their bass tied to the roof of the van or the car. And so portability was a big deal, and that's sort of what brought on the Fender Precision bass, which was Leo Fender's invention.
Is there one bass in here that you truly love more than all the others?
It's hard to pick one over the others.
But, it's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah. But I love the early jazz basses. That's sort of the 62 jazz basses are my favorite.
Geddy, before we let you go, there's so many Rush fans in this entire building. I know that you've said, you've gone on the record, no more touring, but what about another Geddy solo project?
Well, that's certainly possible.
Yeah.
I've sort of been ensconced in this thing for the last 2.5 years. And now that that's done, after I finish my shameless promotion of it, I'll start putting a mind to writing some music.
I gotta tell you, I've never picked up a bass guitar in my life, and I feel like I've learned something so wonderful through the pages of this
great.
book. It's also a gorgeous book, and it's very, very heavy.
Yes,
So thank you so much for this. Thank you for coming in. Hope you have a happy holiday season.
Thank
We'll
you
see
very
soon.
much. Great to be here.